A white picket fence house stood in a quiet residential area of Greenwich, Connecticut. The soft spring sunlight gently illuminated the well-tended garden flowers. Melissa Thompson, who lived there, was a well-respected real estate manager in town. At 35, she had built a decade-long career at a major local real estate company, earning her clients' trust through honest work and gentle demeanor. With her brunette haircut at shoulder length and simple yet elegant attire, she participated in First Presbyterian Church activities on weekends and was known as part of an exemplary couple with her husband Robert. "Did you find any lovely homes today?" As dusk fell, Melissa greeted her husband, an investment firm executive, with a gentle smile. "Yes, the Staten Island deal went well today," Robert replied with a warm smile despite his tired expression, dressed in a deep blue suit. Married for 7 years, though childless, their daily life with a stable income of $150,000 was enviably peaceful. In the Millbrook district overlooking Greenwich's streets, Melissa and Robert were respected as an ideal couple in their quiet neighborhood. On weekends, they helped with church charity events, and the sight of them baking cookies for neighborhood children had become familiar in the community. Meanwhile, her sister Jennifer Wilson worked as a nurse at the local general hospital and had married Tom, an accountant, 2 years ago. Now pregnant with her first child, the whole family was in a celebratory mood. "She's going to have such a beautiful baby," their mother Patricia Miller said, her eyes crinkling with joy. Since losing her husband 3 years ago, she had become even more doting on Jennifer. She frequently posted affectionate photos with her daughter on social media, garnering praise for their wonderful mother-daughter relationship. However, her attitude toward her eldest daughter Melissa was cold. "Melissa's always been stubborn, never listening to what I say," she would often complain to her mom friends. While maintaining appearances of a good parent-child relationship, there was a clear distortion in Patricia's heart. For Melissa, this was a familiar pain since childhood. Though occasionally hurt by her mother's words, Melissa had walked her own path. Interested in real estate since high school, she studied business in college and joined her current company immediately after graduation. Even after marriage, she continued working, achieving financial independence without relying on her husband's income. This lifestyle was always a point of contention with her mother, who had lived as a full-time housewife. Over 50 guests had gathered in the banquet hall of the Hyatt Regency Greenwich. Chandelier light cascaded from the ceiling, elegantly illuminating pink and gold balloon arrangements. Roses and baby's breath decorated the pure white tablecloths, heralding the arrival of spring. "Congratulations, Jennifer." Melissa smiled at the reception desk as guests filed past. Friends of her sister, hospital colleagues, church members, and relatives. Everyone entered the venue bearing gifts and words of blessing. "Melissa, what a lovely party," remarked a member of the church women's group. "You're such a wonderful sister." Melissa smiled modestly at these words. She had put her heart into preparing this party, ensuring everything from the catering to decorations was perfect. Even if her mother was cold toward her, she didn't want to ruin her relationship with her sister. This thought lay hidden behind her smile. The buffet table displayed dishes prepared by Greenwich's premier catering company. Eggs Benedict, smoked salmon, seasonal fruit tarts, everything looked exquisite. Champagne glasses sparkled in the light, enveloping the venue in an elegant atmosphere. "Thank you all for joining us today," the MC's voice echoed through the hall. With 3 months until her due date, Jennifer's cheeks glowed with happiness at the prospect of her new life. As the gift opening began, the venue filled with delighted exclamations. Guests smiled at the adorable baby clothes and toys. Melissa too had given her heartfelt blessing with a luxury stroller, an expense equivalent to her monthly salary, but she wanted to give her best as a sister. "Such a lovely present, Melissa," Patricia said with a slightly sarcastic tone. "But shouldn't you have saved it for your own child?" The atmosphere froze for a moment at these words. But Melissa maintained her usual graceful smile. "Jenny's baby will be my precious niece or nephew." That's when it happened. "Everyone," Jennifer suddenly stood up, holding a small microphone. "I have something important to tell you." Her voice trembled. Her usually confident expression had changed to one mixed with anxiety and determination. The atmosphere in the venue shifted instantly. "This baby is mine and Robert's." The venue fell silent. Melissa's mind went blank. The champagne glass in her hand trembled slightly. "We've been involved for 2 years. I can't hide it anymore." Jennifer's voice shook. "Melissa's house should belong to this child and me. Sister, you need to leave." As everyone held their breath, Patricia slowly stood up. Dressed in a salmon pink dress, she elegantly pushed back her chair as if she had been waiting for this moment. "That's right. Melissa doesn't have children anyway, so the house should go to Jenny," she continued with a cold smile. "That's the fairest solution, isn't it? After all, a new life needs a proper environment." The venue erupted in chaos. Voices of surprise, condemnation, and confusion mingled. But to Melissa's ears, they sounded like distant noise. "This isn't appropriate for the occasion," someone muttered. "To make such a confession at a pregnant woman's baby shower." The church ladies exchanged glances, while hospital colleagues wore bewildered expressions. The celebratory mood had instantly vanished. Looking up, she saw Robert. Her husband stood frozen, face pale. His eyes mixed with fear and guilt. His navy suit looked unusually wrinkled. "I understand." Melissa's quiet voice echoed through the chaotic venue. She elegantly stood up, taking her Hermes bag. Back straight, avoiding eye contact with anyone, she slowly left the venue. Her crocodile leather heels clicked regularly against the marble floor. Until she entered the elevator, Melissa maintained perfect posture. If anything, she appeared more dignified than usual. As the doors closed, she let out a deep sigh. But no tears fell. Rather, a strange sense of liberation enveloped her entire body. After all, the source of the discomfort she had felt for years had finally been revealed. By the time she left the hotel, a cold spring breeze caressed her cheeks. She got into her pearl-white Lexus parked in the lot and started the engine. Taking one last look at the luxurious hotel's exterior in the rearview mirror, she slowly pressed the accelerator. At that moment, her cell phone began to ring. Melissa quietly rejected the call and switched the phone to silent mode. A week after the baby shower, one morning, Melissa was brewing coffee with a French press in her newly rented apartment's kitchen. This compact apartment near the upscale residential area had been secured just the day before. The aroma of freshly ground coffee beans wafted over the marble counter. She had spent this week surprisingly calmly. Meetings with lawyers, checking bank accounts, preparing necessary documents. Everything was progressing steadily. "Sis, please answer the phone." Looking at the call history and voicemail notifications on her cell phone screen, Melissa played the latest message while sipping her coffee. "Everything's a mess." Jennifer's sobbing voice echoed through the receiver. Tom found out everything. He's talking about divorce. What should I do?" The next message was from their mother, Patricia. "Melissa, I'm sorry about that day. I want to talk, please." Though trying to maintain composure, her voice clearly showed distress. "About your house, that was just a joke. Don't take it seriously." However, Melissa's expression remained unchanged. Outside the window, birds chirped, and the stillness of spring morning lingered. She pulled out a paper from the stack of documents. It was a copy of an internal whistleblower form from her husband's company. "This will end everything." Just then, "Melissa, open up. Please." Suddenly, knocking sounds echoed at the apartment door. Jennifer's distraught voice. I don't know what to do anymore. About the baby, everything." Melissa slowly approached the door and opened it slightly, keeping the chain lock in place. The hallway light illuminated her sister's haggard figure. "Help me, please." Her sister's eyes were swollen, makeup smeared. The brand maternity dress that supposedly cost $30,000 was wrinkled, with no trace of her usual glamorous appearance. Her puffy face showed signs of panic. "Why are you asking me for help?" Melissa's voice was pure composure. Because. Jennifer stumbled over her words. "You've always helped me, haven't you? In high school, in college." "Yes." "What's your bank balance? Has Robert promised child support? What's your total debt?" "Well." Her sister's voice trembled. "How about the mortgage payments on the family home? Mother's retirement savings?" With each question, Jennifer's face grew paler. Her hands clutching the luxury brand bag trembled slightly. "Was it all calculated?" Melissa's eyes flashed sharply. "How did you plan to live after taking my house? You were counting on Robert's ill-gotten gains too, weren't you?" "That Robert promised." Jennifer's voice cracked. "He said he'd give me $150,000 every month." Just then, footsteps were heard rushing up the stairs. It was Patricia. Her usually perfect hair and makeup were disheveled. "Melissa, why won't you answer your phone?" Mother's voice mixed with panic. "We're family, aren't we? We're family." "Family?" Melissa laughed softly. "That's funny, Mom. Until last week, you were calling me the childless failure. You've been spreading rumors about me to your church mom friends too." "That's Patricia's voice trembled. Her expensive Chanel tweed jacket now looked oddly distorted. "Your savings are gone, aren't they?" Melissa continued calmly. "Nothing left after pouring everything into Jenny. The family home's mortgage payments are 3 months behind. At this rate, it'll be foreclosed." The color drained from both mother and sister's faces. Neither could speak, their mouths hanging open. How do you know all that? 10 years in real estate. Reading clients' financial situations is my job. Plus, I have plenty of contacts at banks. Melissa sighed deeply. You didn't think about anything, did you? Robert's fraud, the existence of debt. All chasing after superficial happiness. Sis. This baby. Jennifer placed a hand on her belly. It's too late. The sound of the door closing completely echoed in the hallway. Oh, by the way, Melissa's voice leaked through the closing door. The detectives will be talking to you tomorrow. About Robert's case. What? Their voices overlapped. As accomplices to embezzlement. After all, you made plans knowing about the fraud, counting on that money, didn't you? Those words echoed coldly through the hallway. Back in her apartment, Melissa stared at the stack of documents on the table. Evidence of her husband's fraud, records of her mother and sister's debts, and divorce mediation preparation documents. Everything was perfectly organized. An email from the lawyer had arrived. Made your own choices, didn't you? While pouring a 1952 Bordeaux into a glass, Melissa whispered quietly. The last bottle she'd taken from her husband's wine cellar. The setting sun reflected in the glass shone a deep crimson, as if foretelling the revenge drama about to begin. Investment firm executive arrested for $1.27 million embezzlement, model employees fall from grace betrays client's trust. Melissa lingered long over the headline on the front page of the Greenwich Times. At morning Starbucks, she sat alone quietly drinking coffee, watching the latte foam dissolve. The gesture was like watching memories of the past dissolve away. Greenwich Investment Partners senior investment advisor Robert Thompson, 38, has been arrested on suspicion of misappropriating a total of $1.27 million from client accounts. The suspect allegedly withdrew funds from multiple client accounts over the past 3 years for personal use. Misappropriation from major insurance company accounts has also been confirmed, with damages potentially expanding. Comments from interviewed colleagues lined the page. He was a model employee. I can't believe it. He was a family man. He was active in church and trusted by everyone. However, Melissa's eyes saw the truth hidden behind these words. Suspicious late-night phone calls. Unexplainable expenses. Weekend absences. And her husband's reluctance to show their household bank book. All the feelings of unease now converged into one answer. The bottom of the newspaper contained witness testimonies. Mr. Thompson was making regular payments to multiple women each month. He owned several luxury cars and spent weekends at lavish vacation homes. Ma'am, here are the investigation results. The envelope handed over by the private investigator contained even more shocking facts. The existence of 3 secret children. The eldest, a 6-year-old girl with his former secretary. 4-year-old twins with a client company president's daughter. And a 2-year-old boy with a young employee. Monthly child support was $2,000 per child. The real reason he touched company money was to keep up with these payments. His personal debt had reached $480,000. As I thought, Melissa whispered softly. When she said, "I understand," and left the baby shower that day, it wasn't resignation. It was the first step toward exposing all the truth. The source of unease she had felt countless times had finally taken clear form. The morning sun reflects off the church spire visible from the cafe window. Once, they had made their vows as husband and wife in that church. In a pure white wedding dress, she had sworn eternal love that day. But now, those vows had been completely broken by her husband's betrayal. Melissa's smartphone vibrates. Company colleagues, business contacts, church acquaintances. Messages arrive one after another. Mrs. Thompson, I'm so sorry. Actually, I had noticed. Robert's behavior had been strange lately, but I didn't have the courage to point it out. There was no need to reply. Everything was already over. Melissa grips the keys to her new apartment. They held the promise of a new life. From her room on the hill, she could see her former home. But there were no regrets anymore. Just then, another message arrives. From the lawyer. Discussions with the prosecution have been settled. Your position is completely protected. Most of Robert's embezzled amount will be covered by insurance. Settlement negotiations are looking favorable. Next, a message from the real estate agent. We've found a new property. A spacious room on Greenwich's Hills with a great view. The interior has been renovated and is ready for immediate occupancy. Melissa smiles. Even if she lost her old house, she knew she would recover in a new place. Meanwhile, her sister Jennifer's situation was growing more serious. Her husband Tom, upon learning the truth, was furious and immediately demanded a divorce. Showing no mercy even to his pregnant wife, he told her to leave their home. Their plan, counting on child support from Robert, had completely collapsed, and her future was shrouded in darkness. Their mother Patricia was also in dire straits. All her assets poured into Jennifer were depleted, and her retirement savings were almost gone. The family home's mortgage payments had begun to fall behind, and collection notices arrived almost daily. The price of pride and vanity was heavier than imagined. This is the reward called reality. Melissa finished her coffee quietly. People walking on the street showed the same morning scene as always. Housewives with luxury brand bags, private school students heading to school. However, the world reflected in her eyes would never look the same again. Mrs. Thompson? It was the president of the local gardening club who called out. I'm so sorry about what happened recently, but your response was wonderful. Everyone's on your side. The church members are worried too. Melissa nodded slightly. Indeed, public sympathy was on her side. But that wasn't important. What mattered was protecting her own life. She understood this to her very core. Before leaving the cafe, Melissa took one last look at the newspaper article. At that moment, a small advertisement caught her eye. Seeking instructor for Women's Asset Management Seminar, experience preferred. Melissa cut out the advertisement. She was certain her experience would surely help someone. 1 year later. Today, I'll be speaking about women's economic independence. Melissa's voice echoes through the Greenwich Community Center auditorium. She had built a new career as the chief instructor for the region's women's economic education program. Even trusted family members or beloved spouses cannot guarantee the protection of your assets. Over 100 women had gathered in the venue. Some took earnest notes, others nodded deeply. Melissa's words were definitely resonating with her audience. After the lecture, a woman approached her. "Professor Thompson, I had a similar experience. But thanks to your course, I was able to recover." Melissa smiled gently. Her ordeal had indeed become someone else's hope. Her work at the real estate company, where she had been promoted, was also going well. If anything, this incident had raised her evaluation. She had earned deep trust from the directors as someone who can respond calmly in the face of crisis. Her new home was a spacious apartment on the hillside. She grew herbs on the terrace with its beautiful view and enjoyed yoga on weekends. Though smaller than her previous house, here she found genuine happiness. Meanwhile, Robert had received a 7-year prison sentence. In addition to returning the full amount embezzled, he was ordered to pay substantial damages. His divorce from Melissa was finalized. His life had completely fallen apart. Her sister Jennifer had started a new life as a single mother in Boston. There was no hope of reconciliation with Tom, who learned she was carrying another man's child. She moved from her $5,000 monthly apartment to a 2DK in the suburbs, desperately working as a nurse. Their mother Patricia had also changed dramatically. Having lost her retirement savings, she was forced to live in a modest apartment. Her social media pretenses had disappeared, and though she came by on weekends to check on her daughter, Melissa refused to see her. "But sis." One day, Jennifer called. "Can't we start over?" "Starting over and forgiveness are different things," Melissa answered quietly. "You need to rebuild your lives yourselves." After hanging up, Melissa was reviewing materials for her new course. Learning from mistakes when the family illusion shatters. Next week's lecture theme. "Mrs. Thompson, here's the new proposal," her secretary brought in documents. "The board has approved the real estate investment seminar." Life had taken unexpected turns. Though she had lost much, she had gained even more. In the end, Melissa mused, sipping wine on her terrace at dusk, what matters is not lying to yourself. The sunset reflected in her glass shone beautifully, symbolizing the radiance of her new life. Spring breeze carried the scent of terrace herbs. It was the fragrance of her chosen, true happiness. Another application for the new course came in. This time, a message from a woman considering divorce. Melissa sighed deeply. Her experience was becoming a guidepost for someone else's life. It was an unexpected form of social contribution. On the table lay the manuscript for her next lecture. The cover read, "Protect your own life, to women living in modern times."